we're going to add a red pepper. I have a whole red pepper, almost all of it added so far. I'm just going to chop a little bit more. And you know, red peppers are so good for you. They turn red on the vine, so they're like, that's like the last color that comes off the vine in the vegetable patch, and it like seems to have a higher vitamin C content. So, and it's one of the anti-inflammatory foods. So whenever you can use red pepper, it's a really good food for you. Put that in here. And then I kind of like to tweak recipes. I like to look at it and add some more vegetables if I can. So I thought I would just add a zucchini just for one more vegetable. So we're just going to coarsely chop that. You know, when you buy zucchinis, they do have a high water content, and they're not going to last that long in your refrigerator. So use it up fairly quickly, and same with a cucumber too. It's one of those things where, like our root vegetables or our potatoes or carrots, they last longer in the fridge. Or potatoes I leave on the counter. But yeah, you don't want to be wasting food by letting it sit too long in the fridge. Same with red peppers too. They last a little bit longer than a zucchini, but again, it's got a high water content. You want to use those up. And like red peppers are great for snacking too, just having red pepper strips dipped into hummus, you know, or a veggie dip, a yogurt dip, making like a little raw veggie platter. They're really good. So here, we're just going to finish this up, and we're going to throw that in the pot. And this soup also has some beans in it. And beans are really good for you. They contain soluble fiber, and they're high in protein. So this is, when you do have a vegetarian meal, they're a good food to include. Let me just show you. It's going. All right, so I have two types of beans today. We've got black beans and garbanzo. And you know, if you want to, if you have a package of dried beans, you could do it really easily in a crock pot. You can put chopped up onion in the crock pot, one package of beans. I tend to use the black beans, but pinto is good too. And then I do a quart of water. And I just cover it in the crock pot, let it cook on low. And I would watch it. One time I let it go overnight, and they were a little too crunchy. So give it maybe 6 hours and stir it periodically, and just see they get real glossy. And then, you know, add it to a recipe or plan another recipe the next day with those black beans to use them up. I like to take a red pepper and cut it in half, and then make a mixture of like brown rice, black beans, corn, and then just whatever else, and fill them, and then tap a little cheese and bake them open face in the oven for a stuffed pepper. So those are good. So you know, when you open your can of beans, you want to drain them in a colander and rinse them. So I'm going to add those, so 1 can of each to this soup. And then we're also using a can of diced tomatoes. So we're going to add that. And you know, these are some of the staple things I have in my pantry are beans, tomatoes, even some little green chilies, things like that that are ready for making soup. And then I try to use more fresh vegetables for when I, you know, for my refrigerator and all. All right, and then we're going to add some corn. And this is a handy little tool. It's called a corn kernel cutter. So I use a bowl. You can use canned corn or frozen corn, but we were able to find fresh corn, and I like using fresh corn. It gives that extra little crispiness, like crunch when you eat it. So we're just going to start halfway down and remove the kernels. And then I flip it around and do the remainder. And it called for 4 ears, but the package was 6, so I'm just going to add them all just to not have to worry about those extra 2, you know, and get lost in the refrigerator. So here we go. You know, you can use a knife, but I'm funny about that. I don't want to slip and cut myself. You know, whenever you're using a knife in the kitchen, you want to be so careful. Especially women who are survivors of breast cancer, you know, for prevention of lymphedema, you don't want to risk, they call it the bad arm, you know, where you're trying to avoid getting cut, bug bites, sunburn. You want to be really careful with that one arm, so you don't want to cut yourself with a knife either. And that's lifetime. You have to be so careful with that one arm. Get rid of this. They say lymphedema is easier to prevent than to treat, so that's why you want to be cognizant of that. All right, and then we're going to add some peanut butter too. I don't really measure. It called for 1/3 of a cup. I just take a healthy scoop, and you're going to add that into it. I feel like the soup is hot, so it's just going to kind of melt. They said to add it to broth and stir it up. I'm kind of more like, I don't want to dirty up a whole bunch of different dishes, so it blends in really nice. I can show you if you can see it. The peanut butter just starts melting right in with this soup. And now I need to add the broth, the rest of the broth. So when I get broth, I like to get low sodium stock or broth, and a vegetable broth for this recipe. And I'm going to use the whole carton for this. So it looks really a lot of vegetables and protein. And then we're going to season it next. Okay, I'm going to set this over here again so it heats up. So I didn't have any cayenne pepper, but based on what we're talking about today, I thought it's probably a good thing to leave out. And you can do that. When you look at a recipe, if you feel like, no, I don't like that, it might be too strong, don't put it in. It's okay. But I am going to substitute turmeric. I thought with sweet potatoes, why not? It's another opportunity to use turmeric, and it's anti-inflammatory. I'm just going to shake that in there. Chili powder, put some of that. I'm not a big measurer. I kind of feel like with cooking you can do that. You can kind of just use your own judgment on how much you like. So we add black pepper too. I did not add salt. I don't really like to add salt to recipes. I would rather taste it at the end and then see if it needed something like that. And then we have a jalapeno, but I'm not going to add it. I feel some people get a respiratory reaction from jalapenos. I do. I don't know. They say 30% of the population can experience that. It kind of takes your breath away. It's the oils or chemicals in there. So especially with our topic, I thought I'm just going to leave the jalapeno out. But it does add some good flavor. And then lastly, we're going to add spinach. So when you purchase spinach, like a lot right now, the greens are coming in a package like this. But even if it says triple washed, we still give it another washing. And so that's what I did. I already washed it, just gave it a rinsing. And then I'm putting good handfuls of spinach into the soup, and it will just wilt down, and it'll give you another vegetable. So, you know, we talk about getting 6 to 8 vegetables a day. Well, this soup has quite a few in it. So it's not that hard, especially when you make a soup. It's a great opportunity to get a whole bunch of vegetables in it. Let me show you how this looks. Oh, you can see. Okay, so here, we're just going to stir them in, and they're going to just wilt into it. All right, and then if you want, you can top this with peanuts, or we're going to cut up an avocado. We're going to put avocado slices along with this. And we love avocados. They're a healthy fat, and they also give you that nice satiety. And people who are struggling with maintaining their weight, like they tend to be losing weight, the avocado helps with that because it's a good fat, and it'll help give you those extra calories in a small amount. So I just go around with a knife. I went around once, and I turn it and go another time around. And everyone has their own way of doing the avocados, but this tends to work for me. So then I just kind of zipper it down with my finger and pull off the pieces. This is a nice avocado. And you know, when you pick them at the store, even if they're hard, just go ahead and get it. Only takes a couple of days for them to ripen up. And so this is a little bit unripe right here, but you're just gonna feel a little indent, not too much, and that shows that it's the perfect ripeness. And you can also put avocados in a brown paper bag and let them, and put like a banana or apple in with it, and those gases from the fruit helps to speed up the ripening. So then here's your avocado right here. So it's beautiful, nice vegetable or fruit, whatever you want to call it. So then we would slice it to serve. So I'm going to set that aside. So that's the recipe. And you know, on one of these cold nights, you should make it and enjoy all those vegetables and good nutrition. What you're trying to do is prevent loss of lean body mass. And so you'll hear us often saying, eating small, frequent meals and snacks. So when a person's struggling with their appetite, sometimes a big plate of food is overwhelming. I see that in the elderly too. Like my mother would have that. She'd start eating and then all of a sudden just stop. I can't eat anymore. Or that's too much food. You know, it's a turnoff to people. And so a smaller plate might be a better idea. Just, you know, it might be a psychological thing, but something to even try. And then when we talk about those meals and snacks, you want to have protein with each meal and with each snack. So a breakfast might be some eggs or yogurt. And maybe a mid-morning snack might be some cottage cheese and fruit. These are food models. And maybe a nut butter, you know, with crackers, or a piece of cheese for a snack. And for lunch, a soup, but maybe have some protein in it, or have like an open-faced cheese sandwich with the soup if it's a vegetable soup. And then nuts are really good too. A lot of the doctors say if you can tolerate nuts, keep a jar by your chair so that you can just reach in and enjoy the nuts and get the protein from it. Something that also people sometimes rely on are the nutritional beverages. So if you're first starting off with treatment, I would go through the first chemo experience and see how you do. If you're still able to eat pretty normally, I would just go that route. Continue to eat regular food. Save these products for later. So in case you start experiencing problems with eating and you would need to rely on some of these nutritional beverages, save them for later. So you don't want to get sick of them first. All right, so with taste and taste changes, there is a good little recipe we can do. You're going to take a pitcher, and all it is baking soda and salt. So it's a home kind of remedy, very inexpensive, and you can make a pitcher of it. So I have in here salt and baking powder, and it's about a quart of water. So I'm just gonna guesstimate, but let's see here. So this is probably not quite a quart, but maybe. And then just stir it up. So get a long spoon and just stir. And you could even keep it in a pitcher like this, maybe by the bathroom sink even. And then before each meal and after a meal, rinse your mouth. And it's just gonna keep the flora in your mouth cleansed. You're gonna cleanse your tongue and you rinse it with your mouth. And it's just a simple thing, but a lot of people kind of swear by it that it really works. So I would get it started early on. And then brushing your teeth too, like good oral care. I would suggest using a soft toothbrush. And when you brush your teeth, be real gentle. You don't want to, even if your mouth is fine, just be gentle. Take your time with brushing your teeth. You don't want to be so fast and rough that you cause abrasion inside your mouth. And that can lead to like soreness because some of the chemo agents do cause mouth sores, and you just don't want to, you know, cause a bigger problem. But I would say do the small frequent meals, start using your rinse on a regular basis so you're in the habit. So before you eat and after, whether it's a snack or a meal, and just see how that goes. You're going to be keeping on a good, clean mouth. Because you get bad bacteria in your mouth, everyone does. And so by keeping that down, it keeps the palate pretty clean. So if you are having the taste changes but no mouth sores, you can use limes and lemons to squeeze on food to perk up the flavors. Taste changes in a person's mouth is really difficult. I've heard some foods tasting like burnt, like a fire pit, like burntness. Some people say tastes like cardboard or soap. So not everyone experiences that, but those are things out there based on whichever chemo, you could experience that. And you still have to eat, so you kind of have to push forward, but hopefully this mouthwash or this simple solution here can help. And sometimes people say they just have to force themselves to eat so that they can maintain their weight. So hopefully you're not experiencing that, but it is a possibility. So again, if you don't have a mouth sore, use the limes, lemons. People find vinegary foods like pickles or olives, something in that brine solution helps cut through that weird taste. So if it's a sweet pickle or a sour pickle, you can make the vinaigrettes too, just, with olive oil, whether it's red wine vinegar, rice vinegar, balsamic, anything like that. Make a salad dressing. I've noticed some people put balsamic vinegar, drizzle it on like pizza or a pasta dish, or if you can tolerate tomatoes, okay, make like a bruschetta and put the balsamic on there. I love balsamic. I love vinegars. I think they just liven up your taste buds, and maybe a little bit extra will help. And even something like this jalapeno, that might even help too if you have taste changes, something with a little bit more flavor. And even like spicy mustard or ketchup or barbecue sauce with the food can help too. Or steak sauce, something, because they contain a vinegar. But again, if you have mouth sore or a sensitive mouth, don't do those recommendations. If you are having trouble with a mouth sore, you want to go to more bland, soft, non-abrasive type foods. All right, as far as dry mouth, that can be a real problem for people too, especially when they wake up in the morning. They have this really dry mouth. So everybody really should be drinking 64 ounces of liquid a day. Got my water here. Don't you find with the cold weather that you're wanting more water too? Yes, Sue's got it, yeah. But it is something you have to strive for. So getting some kind of container where you know the volume. And so one patient told me they had a big container, they filled it with water that day, and then they knew that they got it all in, by the end of the day. But other foods contribute to fluids too. It's anything that's liquid at room temperature, like soups or high water vegetables or fruit have extra fluid. Even if you enjoyed like a popsicle, anything that will melt to a liquid at room temperature is a fluid. And also, if you're struggling with eating where you fill up easily, don't drink too much with your meal. Save that more for in between. You don't want to fill up on water and then can't eat your meal. So citrus, mint, cinnamon are all flavors that can also help with a dry mouth as well. And regularly using the mouthwash. Avoid alcohol and citrus beverages when you have a dry mouth. Avoid tobacco use and limit caffeine intake as well. A dry mouth is more susceptible to cavities and infection, so it's really important to take good care of your mouth. So if a person's experiencing painful swallowing, that's very difficult too. There are some prescription medications like magic mouthwash that a person can use to swish, and it allows some numbness so that you can eat in a short period of time. But that is something you need to talk to your doctor about. If you're having trouble with swallowing and experiencing coughing, like choking, that can be serious. A person can aspirate and that would be really serious. So with situations like that, you need to talk to your doctor, because you might need to go for a swallow study to see if there's blockage or what's happening there. So get that ruled out. We don't want to take any risk with that. But if it is such where there's painful swallowing and there's no risk of aspiration, it's going to those soft, bland, easy to swallow foods. And the person themselves would know what kind of texture they can tolerate, whether it's like macaroni and cheese or pasta, or maybe more of a thick soup, or maybe pureeing foods, like taking the soup we made and then blenderizing it so it's real smooth. Or some people even end up eating like a baby food just for convenience. Foods that are soft and moist and high protein, eggs are excellent. You know, we made those little egg cups the first class. Eggs are so good. They're a great source of protein, and there's a lot you can do with them. You can make a frittata, you know, you can just make an omelet or scramble them or hard boil them. You remember, people going through treatment should not have the runny yolk from a food safety standpoint. You can make protein salads like chicken salad or tuna salad. Those are always good. And I like to put chunks of celery and a little red onion, but again, you would know what you can tolerate with that. Maybe you don't want to have those, just have relish and then the mayonnaise and tuna. Yogurt, a lot you can do with that, blenderizing fresh fruit with it to make it a smoothie, and getting the protein. And cottage cheese is good too. Well, we showed the cottage cheese with strawberries, but even canned fruit with the cottage cheese, you know, is good. So, and you can blenderize cottage cheese too and make it a real smooth mixture if you want. You could treat it almost like yogurt in a way. And if your mouth is sore, sometimes using a straw and use it on the opposite side where the soreness is to ingest, you know, whatever you're wanting to eat. You can make a milkshake too. It's when you're having trouble like this or struggling to maintain your weight, it's really anything goes. You know, eat what sounds good to you, just to get those calories in. So nausea and vomiting is a whole another category. You're equipped with the anti-nausea medication when you go through your chemo education. And I know sometimes we hear people say, oh, I don't like taking medications, or I don't need that. But really, if you start finding that your appetite is low, like that's weird, I'm not hungry for a meal, or you're just getting that sick feeling, do take the anti-nausea medication. Sometimes situations like emotional stress can cause nausea. It might not be related to the chemo. I know when I went through my move recently, I was getting nausea and I thought, what is this? And then I realized that was stress causing it. You know, when you have just too much on your plate at one time. And we also have some products too we can offer you at the Cancer Center, are the tummy drops. If it's, you know, anti-nausea medication is first, but keeping the tummy drops in your purse. So if you're getting a little bit, you know, you can just have some of these. There's a variety of flavors. We keep getting more flavors in, but you can mention that to the dietitian and we can give you some samples. And if you find one you like, you can just order it on Amazon. So they're a little hard candy. You let it just, you know, melt in your mouth, and they have like a little spiciness to them. There's some other things that might help too for if it's just kind of mild. If you can tolerate bubbly stuff, I like this seltzer water from Trader Joe's. I've mentioned it before. It's a lemon and ginger juice. Ginger can be very helpful to controlling nausea. You can peel it and put that hunk or slice it thin into a cup of hot tea or into a beverage, usually a warm beverage because you'll get more of the benefit. Let me see what else I was looking for. That might help. Oh, I know, I had, right in front of me. Okay, so then we have ginger, natural ginger. You can get, where did I get these? I think I got these at Trader Joe's too, but it says stomach upset, motion sickness, morning sickness, and nausea be something to keep on hand. They're just like little hard candies. Also, there's a few teas, an herbal lemon and ginger tea. It's at Twinings brand. Sometimes peppermint can be helpful. That also is Twinings. Get a little cup of hot peppermint tea. This one's Bigelow. It's called Lemon Lift, and that can be soothing too. And I just like the Tazo brand, the Passion Tea. This is a wild orange. It's just really comforting. You can drink them cold or hot, but it'll contribute to your hydration. And on a cold day like this, it's kind of nice and comforting to sit down with a nice warm beverage that will help you. Brought this along too. This is another product we have at the Cancer Center. It's called Unjuri Chicken Soup. So it's a broth and you just follow the directions, but it's got some good protein in it too. Let me see how much it is. It's about 21 grams of protein in this little packet. So we can offer you this to try, and then you would just order it under the Unjuri website. And we have flavors too, but sometimes people get tired of the sweetness of like chocolate and vanilla. So this is a nice savory option for you.